this is not the total recall. No, this is the final recall, also known as simply the recall in the States. In England, however, it is known as Final Recall and will be out on digital HD on the 14th of August 2017 and then on DVD 21st of August 2017. And this one stars Wesley Snipes himself. Yes, Blade is back. And also stars a guy who you may have seen in Breaking Bad. I'm going to butcher his name, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce it. R.J. Maitre. He played Walt Jr. And the story here is somewhat reminiscent of the movie Skyline, but kind of meets the X-Men, I would say. That's the best way I'll describe it. Skyline meets the X-Men. The story focuses on these group of 5 kind of young adult teenagers, not quite sure how old they're supposed to be, but they decide they're going to go on a kind of weekend break to this kind of cabin in the woods, deep in the kind of like the wilderness, basically. I always wonder why there's always an odd number in these things. Why is it always like 3 guys and 2 girls? Surely you wouldn't want to be the 5th wheel, but there you go. On the way, they kind of meet Snipes' character, who is a strange survivalist living in the woods, comes across as quite the kooky character. However, unbeknownst to them, this happens to be on the eve of an alien invasion. And just like Independence Day, these kind of massive craft come down, hidden by cloud, and their true intentions are felt a little bit throughout the film as the movie progresses. Yes, it's an alien invasion movie. We have aliens walking around the woods, capturing our teenagers and doing all sorts of nasty things to them. So let's talk about what worked and didn't work with Final Recall. First of all, I've got to say, I think the production value here is quite good. It all looks very well shot. I like the kind of the use of shadows and lighting, particularly in the kind of the very kind of creepy woods, and we sort of see, you know, half-lit aliens kind of lurking just out of kind of view of the camera and things like that. It all works pretty well to give you a quite spooky, intense kind of atmosphere. I think Snipes is absolutely fantastic. He's maybe a little underused, I will say that. But he comes across as a real kind of nut bar, and you're never really sure of where his allegiances lie and what his kind of really real motivations are. It's all left very ambiguous. We're given some hints to his backstory, but never really kind of beats you over the head with it. So you never really know if he's a friend or a foe, and I thought that was quite nice. The alien effects, I think, are pretty well done. I like the way they keep, for the most part, they keep them slightly out of view. But when we do see scenes towards the end of the film when we kind of go into the alien spacecraft and all the kind of the weird stuff that they're doing, and it looks pretty good and you know, quite intriguing. You kind of want to know more about what's happening and the such. It moves at a fair old pace as well. It's not a slow film. So I thought the pacing was quite good. Onto the negatives. Negatives for me, I didn't like the way some of the young people were written here. There's 5 of them, and when the kind of the shit goes down, basically, one of them just out the blue turns into a very kind of different kind of personality. You think, why is this guy turning on his friends with no real reason? I mean, it just seems like that's the kind of the plot that they wanted to do, but it doesn't make sense to me. So I didn't like the way his character was written. And just so you know as well, neither Wesley Snipes nor R.J. Maitre, who played Walt Jr. in Breaking Bad, are the main characters. They are both supporting characters. There's this other guy who's kind of the main character, and we're given a bit of backstory for him. But for the most part, I would say the 5 kids are all somewhat kind of generic. They're not necessarily bad, but not really particularly well developed or well kind of rounded characters. To be honest, they're very just, you know, the kind of the genre cliches that you'll kind of expect. In regards to the actual effects, like I've said, it's a use of practical and CGI. When we do see the practical effects, I've got to say I did quite enjoy them, but there is a use of these, like a secondary type of alien that they look like a glowing jellyfish, of CGI, and that's quite clearly a digital effect. It's a lower budget film, so I'm not going to hold it too much against it, but I feel if you're a discerning viewer, you might be put off by some of the clearly CGI animated jellyfish that are kind of floating around. I've got to say there was a slight lack of direction for me in regards to some of the supporting characters. We see scenes of the military and this other guy who was a previous kind of abductee. Those scenes for me were completely irrelevant because they have no bearing really on the actual story themselves. They have nothing to do with it. They have no interaction with the characters in the main kind of A plot at all throughout the whole film. So those scenes seemed very peripheral to me and could have just been cut out. Our characters do have a run-in with some officials towards the end of the film, but they're not the same people. So yeah, those kind of scenes seem just generic and unnecessary to me, and really were just, I guess, to fill up. They seem like reshoots, I've got to say. It does kind of like make not a lot of sense, and I will say that there are, if you are of a religious background, the film may rub you the wrong way, because it essentially says that the aliens have been here and kind of essentially are responsible for human life and come down every so often to kind of like jumpstart the evolution process into the next kind of phase. And this is kind of what they're doing here, hence why. So there's definitely an X-Men vibe here. And then that's a popular conspiracy theory, obviously the missing link, all that kind of stuff. But like I said, if you are a devout religious person, it's going to annoy you, I should imagine. I'm not, so who cares? So overall, I've got to say, it was a bit of a mixed bag. It was a fun film. It's, well paced. There's some quite sort of fun aliens and stuff like that. But I felt there could have been a little bit more to it. And I felt like the reactions to people when we kind of see the alien ships was far too calm. That kind of bothered me a little bit as well. But overall, it's still an entertaining watch. I feel it's a fairly well-made film for the kind of the level of budget. And Snipes is an absolute blast in this role. He is full-on crazy, and I thought he was very, very good here. But like I said, don't be expecting him to be the main character. And even to be fair, his character is somewhat on the periphery as well. So overall, I'll give this movie a 5 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave me comments. And I shall look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.